Much better. Hello, everyone. Hello. Very nice seeing you all here in this amazing. What is it? Saturday? It's all blended up for me. This week was kind of crazy, but I'm really happy to be here with you. Unfortunately, as you can see, it is just me that is here with you. So we are still waiting for Starsky to show up. As we've tried to reach out to whoever is in charge of him. And we're basically trying to find out where is he and where is he coming over. But we're going to see him soon because he did plan to join. There was never any kind of cancellation or whatnot. But this stream is going to go on for a while, guys. So let's relax and maybe have a little bit of a chat. I have this new setup here now, obviously, as you can see with the camera. So now it's a little bit different for me because before I was looking at the screen and my webcam was just looking at me. Now I will need to actively kind of look back at you and read the chat. I cannot really explain that well who Vatra is, because that is a unit that either supports Starsky unit or it's some kind of support group like volunteers that are supporting some of the National Guard units, or it's a volunteer group that supports people that are just fighting on the front line. So let's wait with that question until Starsky come. And then we can ask Starsky that question. I really hope that he comes quite soon. Oh, nope, wrong. That was wrong. There we go. Back to this. 1440p looking good. Yes, I hope so. Though gotta say, when it was poorer image quality, I felt I actually don't need headphones because then I don't have to listen to myself. So it actually was a little bit easier for me when I see notification. Please tell me it's Starsky. It's Starsky. So Starsky is writing. He has a connection issues, but will be there in a sec. All right, so let's wait up and hope that he will join up. But yes, so the problem that I have with the camera issues is that in high resolution, like you can see all of the imperfections and whatnot. You know, that's the problem, especially with the light stuff and so on. At first time, I tried to hide it a little bit. So like I dimmed the lights just a little bit down and said like, okay, now it's like edgy and like light. But people said it was like too few light sources. So for now, I ordered actually, you see this empty place behind me? There's actually going to be something in that place. But until it arrives, there is not going to be enough light. So instead, I just kind of lighted up the room just a little bit more so we can have, just at least a clear vision of who you're talking to. And judging by my last video, you're talking to an asshole. Always glad to be of the service. But obviously, if you're following my channel, I think by this point you need to know and be aware that there is a non-zero chance that I'm gonna say something with my large mouth that's gonna offend about a third of my audience, and you might be in that third of the audience. So I'm saying sorry in advance, but also not sorry, because that's what I'm thinking. Old camera setup was cool. No, it wasn't. It's not. No, new camera. I invested money into it. Well, actually, it's you who invested money into it. Guys, it's all thanks to your support. And actually, like, if I'm talking support, I should stop, I should shut the fuck up and actually read people that are actually supporting. For example, there is Dextro, who is writing «Слава Україні, слава героям, слава тим, хто з ризику своїм життя, щоб до останнього ватника вигнати зі своєї землі». Так. Thanks, Dextro, for $20. Really appreciate it. Really nice. Definitely, we're gonna get. Well, not we. Like, okay, I am asking you already a little bit too much. I'm a guy on YouTube. I started this channel, as you know, just because, like, I'm earning well. Like, you know, it's like I'm able to sustain my house. I'm able to sustain like life for me, my wife, and whatnot. But I didn't have a lot of like disposable income that I can, you know, donate in a like basically every month amount. That was a big chance for me, and I thought that if the channel can generate some kind of profit, then I can funnel that profit into the Ukrainian military. So to transition essentially some kind of a virtual presence into actual support for Ukraine. That's why by watching this, you're actually supporting Ukraine in a sense. And obviously the people that are supporting this, as I always say, guys, if you want to donate, first and foremost, consider donating to Ukrainian military. Consider donating to the volunteers that are working with a specific Ukrainian military. And only after that, consider donating to me, because as much as I love donations, again, YouTube is not my primary source of income. And it's just nice for me because it allows me to improve the channel. But first and foremost, consider donating to Ukrainian military, because they are the real heroes that are protecting our future and making it happen. Mike Watkins, thanks for 20 pounds. I appreciate it. Miriam Ward, Slava Ukraini, thanks for 22 New Zealand bucks. Sean B, Slava Ukraini, thanks for 20 bucks. Lisa, you're on fire. Thank you so much for prior memberships that you gave out. Thank you so much for that. And Towards the New Light, Slava Ukraini. Will do, Lisa. Thanks for 10 bucks. Carol, thanks for 10 bucks as well. Really appreciate it. Halichanka, thank you so much for 5 bucks. Really, really appreciate it, all guys. And I'm going to make sure that I will make good use of your support. Really, really hope that it will be okay. All right. Buddy, I'm there. Can you see me? Okay, let's see if Starsky is there. Okay, it says for me that... Oh... Huh? It's interesting because I see Starsky on the camera, but like, do I need to add another source? Give me a second. I'm trying to figure it out. Okay, no. Okay, worst case scenario, I'm just gonna add. Ah, there we go. There we go. I figured it out. You know what was the issue? It was because, like, in a list, his camera was below the image. So he was actually on the screen this whole time. You just didn't see him. Sneaky,
yeah,
sneaky. Okay, I cannot hear you now. I probably need headphones. Give me a second.
To attract attention and stuff, you know.
Oh, was he talking all this time? And can you hear him, guys, by the way? Or is it just me?
I was like coughing and farting and doing all kinds of crazy shit.
People saying they're getting stadium echo.
Stadium echo?
Yeah.
What the hell?
Well, that's what happens when you stream from stadium, I guess.
Ah, yeah, that's obvious.
Let me transform. While I'm setting up the image here, people have asked who Vatra is. Can you echo, Georgie?
Hello, hello.
Okay, it's echo.
Hello. Can you hear me at all? Guys, I think you don't.
No, they say they can hear you, but they say it's a huge echo on me. I think... Oh, okay, I see. So I'm getting... When I'm talking, I'm also getting sound from you. Do you have like... what was it called? Let me... Give me a second. Can you hear me fine now, guys? I turned off my microphone and
I don't hear you now.
You don't hear me now? Okay, wow. Starsky is good. Now they hear me, but now Starsky doesn't hear me.
The sound routing is kind of crazy. I tried to route sound in, oh my god, how you call it, OBD Ninja, and it requires a lot of torturing and stuff. Oh, but I cannot hear you right now.
Yeah, but
you're muted.
Trying. Let me see. Can I stream? Oh, I think I know. Wait a second. Can I settings? Webcam source. All right. How about now? Is this better?
Karina, Starsky sounds great because I have some kick-ass microphone here, and It's very nice to see you, by the way.
Okay. Whoop. Whoop.
So I think that Georgie has like two, my God, like two sound inputs, probably. That could be the reason.
That's weird. All right. If
The
I'm
other day, I was like, the first time I had a guest on my channel, I had to tweak all those sound inputs, outputs, and it appeared to be more complicated than it had to be. Like, I mean, YouTube's supposed to be easy. You're supposed to just plug in and chat with whoever you want to chat,
I don't think it's ever easy. By
but
the
it
way, can you
doesn't
hear
work
me
that
now?
way.
Can you hear me now, Starsky? Starsky that just doesn't hear me now. Can you hear me chat?
Anyways, so while people cannot
Starsky, can
hear
you hear me
Georgie,
now?
yeah, I can.
Okay. Can you hear me? Echo gone. Okay. Oh, oh,
All right,
I'm a fucking the big G or something.
alrighty, alrighty.
Oh yes. Oh, I see. Chat is exploding in euphoria. Talking about euphoria, Eurovision is coming. Oh my god, my wife is a huge fan of Eurovision. So she is like, now, oh my God, there's going to be Loreen. It's the girl that sang Euphoria. So I'm not sure if you follow Eurovision, but that's like a huge thing for certain people. But my wife is like, okay, Georgie, they released a new video on the Eurovision channel. You need to watch this. And it's like, Natalia, I'm fine. Like, I'm not so into Eurovision. Yes.
I completely understand your wife because I was a big fan of Eurovision myself, and two times we had Eurovision in Kiev. One time it was next to my house, and both times I was freaking deployed because of those fucking Russian orcs, and I had to kill them, and I really did because I was so mad of the because of the Eurovision. I was literally launching rockets from RPG 7, and before doing that, I wrote, "This is for Eurovision, motherfuckers! I hate you so much. Burn in hell." And hopefully they did. I
Well,
swear.
I mean, like that's true. So I've set up, by the way, guys, like a shameless plug here incoming. So we recently started like a Discord because people really ask like, can we have some kind of interaction with you beyond the community tab because it's really annoying and it's like there is no real discussion there. It lacks a lot of features. So we set up Discord after Ellie was bugging me for so much, and I'm really thankful for it because I've got myself. So I set up a channel that says a channel for horrible people for horrible people. Sorry, a horrible channel for horrible people to ask horrible questions. And in this channel, basically, people are asking questions in advance, so you would know what to answer. So if you guys would like to ask questions not from chat, if so I don't miss them, you can ask them on the Discord channel, horrible channel. I mean, for horrible people asking horrible questions. So, and one of the things I think that I'm not sure if you already explained a little bit about Vatra, but I would like to know more because today we are streaming this and we're hoping to gather up some donations for the guys helping people at Bakhmut. But can you explain a little bit more details what they do and who they are?
Yeah, so Vatra is Ukrainian charity, and it's run by a bunch of very, very brave girls who deliver gear and equipment to our guys on the front lines. And she helped our guys to get 3 drones, 1 car, and a bunch of other useful things like pieces of equipment and gear. So they're doing great job. There is I've sent you the link to their Instagram. I think that it must be somewhere in the description, so you can check it out. I talked to Anastasia today. She's running all this charity, and currently she's in not in the very Bakhmut, but very, very close to that location. hopefully she will be in Kiev maybe next week, so we will be able to meet. And I think that uh, probably I should interview her, because they're doing great job. They not only they help my brigade, but they also help other brigades of the armed forces of Ukraine. But recently, we brought her to our commander, and we agreed that they will have like a separate account to help my brigade specifically. And that's, by the way, the very sense of this today's stream, because when Georgie asked whom should we help with the fundraiser, I said, of course, my brigade, because my brigade is currently defending Bakhmut. My guys are operating in the very town of Bakhmut, and I think they're doing a great job too.
Nice. Very, very nice. People are asking, so I raise your volume up just a little bit, but I'm trying to find it on the settings. As far as I can see, like the normal volume bar is like up to the max. So I'm trying to see if I can find some kind of a volume increase. Do you maybe have some volume increase on your end that you can add? Maybe that will help.
How about now?
Oh, now you sound just more sexier.
Nice.
Now you can do the ASMR thingy.
Oh yeah.
Sounds about right. Okay, Starsky, up the volume. Okay, wow. People are really, really, really. The volume is okay. Okay, let's roll with this, guys. I really hope we can find some kind of gain. But thank you so much, Andrei, for explaining this. It's really important because we really want to. But as far as I understand, we don't have any way to kind of check how much money is being donated. So I'm thinking.
I think that Anastasia will report to me probably after this
Okay,
is finished. Also, I've sent her a link, so
yeah,
so she could see us. Not
all
sure if she's
right.
watching us right now, but I really hope so.
Well, I mean, if she's in Bakhmut or near Bakhmut, I really expecting that, like, looking at two guys on YouTube is probably not the first priority of anyone.
Yeah, but I'm really grateful to you, buddy, because I don't do fundraising streams on my channel for several reasons. First of all, uh, as a military, I have lots of different tasks, and collecting charity requires all your time. You have to do only this, or at least like half of your time. Also, it's like those impersonators, they're crazy. Not sure about you, but I had thousands of them, and there was this crazy individual on Instagram that literally cloned my page, and she talked to people, like she messaged them, and when they asked her to send like voice message to them, she was like, "Hello," you know. Um, like it's completely insane. But those impersonators, they do big harm, because she was like, "We are donating for drone." For our guys in Bakhmut, and people were, and she was like, "Can you send at least $100?" And people were sending their money to a person living in Africa, like Angelia Kennedy, I think was her name. Not sure if she's blocked on Instagram, because she blocked me, so I cannot see her status. But it's crazy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's been like there's been like multiple stories on Twitter. I've seen them like where like people that supposedly were supporting Ukraine like ended up being either war profiteering or whatnot, and it's a little bit annoying, especially like this. So and for from my side, like whenever I'm looking into like, okay, we need to set up the donation, and then how do I set it up? Who do I reach out? And it's always a problem because sometimes people pretend to be like from units, but they're actually not, and it's like it's a whole another level to try to find. Oh my god, we have a lot of super donos, like a lot of super donos. Most of them, thankfully, are Victory to Ukraine. Thanks for $50. And it's Laramie. WY. Is that Wisconsin? I'm expecting this is Wisconsin. Oh my God. No, I don't want this. We needed something else. Never mind. Forza Ukraina, so from Italy, France, thank you so much. So support to you, Starsky from Italy. Mark2324, hope this helps, even if only a little bit. It does. Thanks so much for $10. But guys, please try to go to PayPal and donate to Vatra. They are the first people that we should donate to. VL, thanks for 50 bucks. And he says, oh, this is nice. Starsky are electric hand what? Starsky are electric hand warmers. Oh my god, I have this pop-up. Starsky are electric hand warmers jackets useful for frontlines. It's a questions. Okay, sorry. I thought there was like some jackets that he's talking about. Sorry. So are electric hand warmers jackets useful for the frontline soldiers?
It depends if they use if they run on batteries, then yeah, but I think probably it's best to have just usual clothes. But again, it's getting warmer on the front lines. However, couple of days ago they had snow. They had like 15 centimeters of snow there because the weather is crazy these days. It's early spring, but hopefully the weather will improve eventually. As for the hand warmers, yes, they work. Yes, they do great job. You can throw them like inside your boots, pants, pockets, and they provide you with some heat.
I believe like I saw a video. I believe it was either Motolife or someone else like from Ukrainian like people that go to the front lines that are part of the units, and they were like looking like a review of all of these equipments and tools that are like how to warm yourselves, all of the different stuff like chemical warmers or electronic warmers and whatnot, and they were telling all of the different ups and downs. But generally from that video, because they were discussing benefits of having one warmer over the other, then the answer would yes, the warmers are necessary.
Yeah, absolutely. I tried chemical warmers back in my days in Krasnohorivka, then in Svetlodarsk in winter, because half of my deployments happened in winter. That's why I hate it with all my heart. And I had a very nice warmer. It's like Zippo, so you just slide it up and it works, and it's awesome. So chemical warmers do great job, I think, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's nice. Okay, but actually, Ukraine gets really warm during the summer. So I was actually expecting that the temperatures would already start getting warmer. So actually, having snow was somewhat of a surprise. But I guess it's working a little bit of in a favor. I would say maybe, though it's hard to tell, like because it's a mix. Uh,
It reminded me a funny story that my dad told me once about like this electric warmer, el- electric bed sheet, actually. So it's like a small bed sheet that you plug in, and it gets warmer. So back in the days when he served, it was like during the Soviet Union times. So they were guarding some object, and my dad was he wrapped himself into this electric bedsheet, and he had cord sticking out of his uniform, and he plugged himself into a socket, and because it was really cold back then, and one of his colleagues, he saw him and like he asked him like, what is that? And my dad said, because it's my dad, he said, it's just my electric kidney. I have to charge it time to time, in order to stay alive. And later, like his whole unit was talking about my dad that has electric kidney. So it was kind of funny.
That is hilarious, actually. And it's actually no joke. Like we had a guy also that was the first time I was introduced to this technology. And sorry for being stupid. I was like young and whatnot. But the guy had like a insulin level detector, and he had like electronic one that he carried in his pocket. and then like basically he stuck a needle into his body that measures that live. And when I saw it first live, I was like, "What is this? This technology?" I was so dumb, crazy, crazy.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's crazy. Some people have to do that. Yeah,
oh,
it's
it's.
insane.
I read up lately a lot of the like what kind of things, what kind of consequences, a lot of the injuries that Russians like after weapons that Russians are using, and through a lot of the like disabled people, what they have to go through, because like my question was always like, do they get enough support to get replacements for their limbs? But it's actually obviously a lot more than just limbs. Like sometimes it's internal organs that are touched and damaged. Sometimes it's just a whole systems like that just need sustainability and whatnot. So it's a there's a lot of these like costs that we don't even think about. So, and this pisses me off the most. Like whenever people start talking about, oh, like Russians are winning, or it's like, oh, they're taking like additional 100 meters and whatnot, and it's like it escapes the whole seriousness of the matter that this is not like a game of football that where it's like, oh, a couple 100 meters this way, this team wins and so on. No, it's like a lot of people's with a lot of their destinies and livelihoods for years and years and years, and like the quality of their lives is being right now ripped apart because of some bloody dictator, and this just makes me so angry sometimes.
Yeah, my boys did a calculation, and they came to conclusion that 100 meters usually costs Russians about 800 men.
Yeah. And I understand that number. I think we all everyone in the chat understands the number. So it's just like there's a lot of the things that goes into this number. I just wish it would be something that would be also reflected in Russian behavior just a little bit faster. We see these changes that are happening in their society, in their army structures, like we're seeing the videos of how depressed they are and so on, and even their on their propaganda channels, right? If at the start of the war it was mostly like, will it be 3 or 4 days that we capture the whole Ukraine for, or then now, well, they're still trying to keep up the positive momentum. It's like, no, we're winning. Look, we're like taking Bakhmut like 9 months already. But yeah, we're totally winning. But also like sometimes it's like, yes, but maybe we should consider negotiating. Like recently, this was it not who was it? I think it was Simanyan. And she was like, yeah, maybe we should consider, buying territories from Ukraine. Like, let's just pay them. And it's like it's a very, very like it's a they're in this, how do you say, what was it, the trade part of the acceptance of inevitability, like some.
She's just insane. All I can say is that she's completely insane. Um, I mean, she's not stupid. She understands the situation, but she knows what to tell the audience. What did I want to say regarding Simon Yan? Shit, I forgot. Anyways, we have a lot of topics to discuss.
Oh, we have a lot. Like
Yeah.
I've have my list, but people just abusing the donations and the super chats because they know I cannot just skip super chats. So they're like, aha, there you go. Now you need to say this, which is super amazing. And most of them are thanks to you because you're obviously the popular guy here. But I'm really, really thankful, guys. But please, 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 please try to first and foremost send out to the PayPal as much as you can. So you can send still a super chat, just like split it up. Half to the super chat and half goes to the Vatra to support the guys on the front lines. That's the important part. So Trina Daly says, wish I had something uplifting to say, but that's not me. So just want to support Slava Ukraini. Thanks, Trina.
I have some
Oh,
uplifting information. So around 6,000 Russians became better during the previous week, which is great news, I think. And so they have 400,000 men, and they roughly lose between 700 and around 900 or sometimes 1,000 men a day. So I think in a year we can basically wipe them out. a year and 3 months with like such a dynamics.
I really hope so. I mean, like, though it sometimes made me depressing, but I definitely noted that essentially the quality of the Russian troops is definitely falling on the weight side. That is a little bit probably depressing for you because, like, mostly then you will see like people. How was your friend called? What was your friend's name? Emilian, was it?
Yes, yes, Emilian. He's
Emilian.
he's outside guarding my house.
So you will see more people essentially looking like Yemelian rather than these what I don't even know how do you call these. I call them Christmas tree, like Colorado Christmas tree. Remember the ones that stormed Hostomel, the ones you guys kicked their asses off? They were wearing all of these what is it called, the Colorado lines on over their
Yeah.
heads everywhere, and basically looking like total assholes. That was
Recently, I realized one thing. Our guys that were captured as prisoners, those that were later exchanged, they told us that Russians forced them to collect Russian bodies in Hostomel after that attack, like 2-3 days after this air raid happened, and they collected 80 bodies. But I realized why they asked, why they forced our POWs to collect those bodies. Because you can imagine the feelings of a Russian soldier who has to collect remains of his comrades, and among them, there's zero Ukrainians. There's no Ukrainians. There's just Russian bodies. Because as a result of this incredible, hilarious air raid, we lost 0 men. Um, I mean, it's a miracle to me still, still to this day, but it's fact.
wow. I knew that it was very very difficult. Also, like I want to actually know more because I think you probably explained these first days at some point. But like these first days when Hostomel hit and so on, it was very hard for me to understand because I didn't have my channels and whatnot back then. It's like how hard the situation was on the ground for you because I know that like there was these fighting in Hostomel, but basically I didn't know anything beyond that. I just know that you guys were able to encircle some of these assholes in the airport area and mortar them like from time to time. Let's put it this way. But what was the first days like? Like was it like
Well, the very first day was very intense. The very fight was very intense because uh, it was really hard to understand what happens there on the ground because you can hear sounds, but you can barely see your guys and not your guys, right? So it was hard to understand the situation. At the same time, you had to avoid being killed by a helicopter because first when we saw those helicopters flying around, we like it was kind of scary, kind of sketchy, okay, but later we understood that when it's flying past you, it means that uh, pilot is very busy, like he has a lot of things to do because they were flying very low. They had to avoid buildings, they had to avoid some tall structures, so they were busy. They were not looking at you. But when the helicopter is on attack course towards you, means you got a GTFO as soon as possible. You got to find a cover and change your position as soon as you can, because then you see those unguided rockets flying at you and automatic cannons firing at you. So it was hard in this regard. I was, let's say, my sector was covering the passage to the airport, and my guys were moving out from the airport already when they ran out of ammo, and Russians decided to follow them to the base. That's where we had to shoot them. Uh, Unfortunately, I spent almost all of my ammo on helicopters. That's why it wasn't a long shootout. Later, some machine gunners were covering us, covering our withdrawal from the airport. Um, and as soon as we did it, we hit them, but not with mortars. We hit them with our howitzers. We had several howitzers located not far from Hostomel, so we opened fire on the runway in order to damage the runway, and also we opened fire at the concentration of Russians at the airfield, because we had a UAV flying there. So it was scanning the situation and coordinating the artillery strike. And we also asked 72nd Mechanized Brigade that arrived to Hostomel 2 days prior to the invasion, and they assisted us with their artillery. They had BM-21 Grads, a lot of them, and they started like spraying the airfield and Russians with their multiple rocket launch systems. And after that, um, in the evening, a bunch of Ukrainian paratroopers arrived to Hostomel. I talked to different guys from different units who were involved into counterattack that evening. There were different versions. Some guys were saying that they were successful, that they managed to control the airport partially, some areas of this airport, and they were hunting those Russian paratroopers in the orchards surrounding the area. Uh, so they killed a lot of those. Other guys said that they were less successful. Some of them took casualties. At least two Ukrainian paratroopers died. We saw their bodies after a month when Hostomel was liberated. We saw their bodies basically where they were killed near the fence between our base and the airport. Uh, but the losses of Russian elite paratroopers, they were incredible. I mean, you don't you cannot hear a lot of memories by Russian paratroopers about this Battle of Hostomel, because they died, like they don't exist. There are several guys here and there, but majority of them were wiped out completely. And Zolkin, I think, has an interview with one of those. He was captured uh, somewhere on the east, and he said that he participated in this raid to Hostomel. He said a lot of incredible things about it. Regarding the encirclement, so there were approximately 45,000 men involved into attack on Kiev on the Russian side, and they had so they couldn't land in Hostomel, obviously, so they had to arrive to Hostomel by land and things like that. They took several highways. They used several highways in order to get there. Um, but in the end of March, they were almost completely encircled between Makarov and Moshchun, basically, in that area. They were almost completely encircled, and they lost, like, there are different sources. They lost between 5 and 30,000 men. So I cannot tell you the exact number, because, like, those numbers are very, very different, okay? But their losses were huge. So they lost between 5 and 30,000 men. They lost 700 vehicles, including tanks, including trucks, and BMDs and BMPs. Of course, they lost a lot of helicopters there. and they had to retreat. So by the end of March, they performed withdrawal from that territory, and they lost, and they left us a lot of awesome presents there, like 100 boxes, or 100 crates of shells for our tanks. I think we already used all those crates. It's 400 shells, 4 shells per one crate, and other things. Also, at the territory of our base specifically, we found, uh, I believe, six graves with weapons. So they buried a lot of machine guns, RPGs, ammo, and obviously they did it because they expected to return one day. That's my opinion. So we found those. Um, but it was kind of crazy. Near Katarinivka. Katarinivka is when you're driving from Irpin to Kiev, but not through Hostomel, just like southern highway towards Kiev. A bridge was blown up there, and Russians were like pounding this village with their mortar fire. Uh, that's, by the way, where Grandpa Savkovich lives, and uh, there is like a bunch of forests that Russians try to find a passage to Kiev, and early in the morning you would see all kinds of um, like policemen, like patrol policemen with RPGs and machine guns. You could see like guys from the territorial defense, and despite the fact that they belonged to a territorial defense, they had like javelins, uh, like uh, tuned AKs with like all kinds of shit you can imagine, all kinds of sights and stuff, night vision goggles. So they looked even cooler than our special forces. Then you could see our special forces. You could see our SWAT in Ukraine. Our SWAT groups are called CORD, Корпус оперативно-раптової дії. That's a police special force. And you could see, of course, Omega from National Guard of Ukraine, different units of and like squads and platoons of armed forces of Ukraine, and all those people having just like sometimes having zero communication between each other. They would just early in the morning they would just go to this magic forest to hunt Russians, and it was hilarious. Like I saw a bunch of videos from those days, and like it was crazy, completely crazy, and the guys were like very silent, like let's go, and they just go there and they just hunt them, and oh my god. uh Another funny thing was that a lot of Russians, after the remains of their army retreated from Irpin and those areas, a lot of Russians were left behind, and they spent some time living in like forests, like for months. For example, there's very famous story about Buryats, very famous among locals here in Hostomel. So those Buryats, they were left behind, and they lived in the woods for like couple of months. Later, they ran out of water. They ran out of completely everything, all supplies they had. Uh, they ate everything, so they had to find supplies. So Buryats went out to like the Hostomel, to bazaar, to local market, to buy food. Of course, because they look like locals, they got captured
Yeah, Buryats
instantly.
don't really look like Ukrainians for the most part.
Yeah, but the craziest story, and there were several stories. Like there was a Russian machine gunner that had a bunch of passports, and he tried to run to Russia. He was captured. The craziest story was with this local grandpa who came to one of the commanders, and he said it was already, I think, summertime in Hostomel. And he came up to one of the commanders and he said, "Can you take your soldier back? Because I'm so tired of him. He's eating my food. He doesn't help me around the house. Like he's just lying down in his corner all day long, reading and doing nothing. I'm so tired of him. Can you just take him back?" And our commander and the commander was like, "Can you show us this soldier, please?" So this grandpa brought them to his house. He lived in a private house, and there was this Russian soldier who made he had a corner. He had a lot of books, lights, and he was reading books, expecting, I don't know. So it was really funny, and of course he was captured. So there were cases like that.
This story is great just because like how ridiculous it is. It's like it's one of those like, okay, if this would be written somewhere like in a book or anywhere else, there would be like, yeah, it's too stupid to be true, man. Like you shouldn't really write this. Like it's too dumb, and it's the only thing that can happen in actual real life. But what's actually interesting, like gave me a thought, like listening to your stories here. This reminded me some of the stories that I've heard from my grandpa. Like, not that you are grandpa yet, but at least not my grandpa, that's for sure. And I'm not going to call you my daddy as well, so let's deal with that. But the stories that I heard from my grandpa also about like the war times and whatnot. Is it crazy for you that basically you are now the war generation? You are the person, as people actually very rightfully noted it in chat, like the Hostomel and the Hostomel operation literally was what potentially saved the whole campaign on Ukraine. That if Hostomel would be taken and it would not be fought back against right from the get go, then potentially like the work could have be turned around. So how crazy it is for you to essentially be the hero right now, as maybe you've heard from your grandpa before that. If you heard the stories from your grandpa, I don't know if he survived the war.
Yeah, he did. He was a tanker. He was a tanker during the last year of the war. But I can tell you one thing: I'm not a hero. My brothers are. Those that are in Bakhmut right now. Those that were defending Rubizhne and Severodonetsk. Those are real heroes. I'm just a talking head on a YouTube. Um,
Talking both head,
but
though, that's important.
yeah, but what I can say, like, it's hard to express my feelings. I just think that uh, I'm. It's hard to express because I'm not a civilian. No, I've been out there since 2015, and I kind of forgot how it feels to be a civilian person. So I can't tell you. Uh, there are people that might feel um, discomfort because of this, that don't feel good about it. Um, but it's very hard to say.
Let's then twist it around. I think it's a very nice perspective you're bringing, because we as a civilians, we're real assholes compared for the people that are on the front lines. We're always in the way, and we're always with the stupid. Can you name me what pisses you the most about civilians, and like what do they do not get about the war and how important it is? Like something that we really should try to change and maybe at least focus our attention, because it's our blind spot and it just escapes us.
It's like It's like supporters of the Russian terrorism who consume a lot of information from TV while sitting in a convenient chair or sofa and thinking, like, should Ukraine just be destroyed? Like, you know, uh, you have to respect Russia. Hands off. You know, you have to let Russia kill Ukrainians because, like, who cares about Ukrainians? People who talk about dividing Ukraine. Look, talking openly talking, calling for uh, destruction of your own state, of your own country. It's a treason. It's a crime. You can, like, no matter where you live, in the U.S., in Japan, when you call to divide your country, for example, and give part of it to other country, it's a freaking crime. You will get prison for that. But when you are in a different country and talking the same shit about other country, it's like legit. What the fuck? It's the same kind of crime. And you asked me what pisses me off most is being unable to see those people in person. That's why after this war is finished, I will have a lot of tours around the world. And first of all, I will be drinking with all you guys. That's my goal number one. And goal number two, I would like to meet different people in person. People like Dave Smith, for example, some people from, like, supporters of Trump, and I would like to ask them, why did you want me to die? Can you
Oh,
explain?
oh, MAGA
Because
Republicans are getting bashed to second day in a row. I already had a video yesterday. Ooh.
because I would really like to know why did you want me to die? And of course, because I have a lot of traumas from, like, shell shocks and stuff. Sometimes I barely control myself when I speak to people I hate. But I will be very, very careful with that. So that's what I want. I just want to see a lot of people from different countries, because the war will eventually end with with Ukrainian victory, and we'll be able to travel around the world and ask different people different questions. That's what I want
There
to
was this.
yeah.
Yeah, nice. It reminded me actually, like there was this old movie, a stupid, like cheap comedy. It was called like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
this. And like at the end of this movie, so like there was like they got some money and they got hands on some money, and basically there's like, so what do you want to do? So and people were like telling shit about them on the internet. So essentially the gag was that they printed out the list of everyone on the internet they talked shit about them, and then went to each person's house to get into the close contact talks.
This is perfect. This is exactly what I would like to do. So the only thing they can those people can do to avoid meeting myself and other angry Ukrainians, I think that the only thing they can do is travel to their beloved Voronezh or freaking Khabarovsk and stay there, because we will see you.
Well, who was it? The guy from Demokratichna Sekira, I forgot his name. That he was like there was a famous video where he was standing in a video with a silencer trying to while screwing. I was like, "Oh, we're gonna hunt you down, boys! Like we have stuff, so we're gonna fuck you up." That was pretty good. That was actually what actually kept me going. What was your videos at the start of the war, and this guy and some of the Bayraktar footage back then. There was no drone bomb drops back then. There were daily dose of Russians getting blown the fuck up. So that is just something now that I need daily. I couldn't like wow how low have I fallen?
Ukrainians have one superpower, and I think that you can have this superpower too when Russia, if Russia attacks your country and tries to kill your family. And this superpower is called willing to leave and to protect. That's all. That's all the secret. And when like all those stupid people who say who talk shit, okay, who don't understand what happens here and yada yada, even those Russians who come here, uh, they are much weaker than us. And the reason behind that is, Russians come to Ukraine not to fight Nazis or protect those Russian speaking minority. Like all that is bullshit. They come to Ukraine in order to loot, to hunt, to acquire a meaning of their useless lives. Because there in Russia, the only meaning they have is like rotting next to their outhouse and shit like that. When they come to Ukraine, they come to hunt, to kill, to acquire some kind of meaning, to loot, and that's what they do. But they are weaker than us because we are fucking protecting our families. We have no other option. We don't have a choice. We are being attacked, and it's either you fight or you die. That's only two options that we have. That's why we're stronger. That's why when some motherfucker talks shit about my country, about there was a coup and shit, and they all deserve to die. I can literally kill him with my bare hands, and I don't care if he's a fucking Vasya Lomachenko or I I don't care about it, because my family is behind my back, and because I'm defending my people I know, people I love. This is our superpower. That's all. Sorry if your channel gets demonetized
Oh,
for
it doesn't.
saying all this shit.
Believe me, that's the least things that I worry about. I really, like it's usually me when people like invite me to their channels. They're like, okay, can you like keep the fucks per minute like maybe to like 1 in 10 or something? So
Fucks per minute.
yeah.
That's
Yeah. So it's kind of like this, but I think it raises very important like point that, because I've noted that also a lot when people say it's like, oh, but like I'm so afraid, like what will happen if if like Trump or whoever stops sending weapons to Ukraine. Is like, well, it doesn't matter. Like Ukrainians, like you and other fighters, they already have made this choice. Basically, it's going to fight. If you're gonna have weapons, you're gonna fight with the weapons. If you don't have the weapons, you're gonna go and like, I don't know, get the weapons from them. Like we saw this happen during the Azovstal. I think Azovstal and Mariupol defense in general. This was what happens. Like maybe people don't know, and I will explain to them. So the supplies to Mariupol was almost not coming at all. There was a secret route that they used for helicopters, like where Russians just had a blind zone in their anti-air, but that was very shortly cut off. And then people would just go out, try to fuck up some Russians, take their weapons, take their stuff, and then use that to fight back. That was basically how they fought. So at that moment, I understood completely that this is not gonna go whatever like whatever world community starts discussing. Oh, maybe we should nudge Ukraine. It's like no. Ukraine is going the way it is going. The people of Ukraine have turned the clock. Like I think maybe it is because of the fact that Russians are so betrayers bitches or something like this. Maybe it is because they really, there was a lot of part of population that really believed that notion that, hey, maybe if with not at least brotherly nations, then at least we have a lot of connection on the personal levels, like inter-families and whatnot, and that would prevent any kind of major conflict. Yes, there is like some political problems and tensions in Russia taking Crimea, Russia taking Donbass, but there was still like a huge layer of population, mostly opposite voters, that was saying basically, no, it's like we can still settle it. Now we have Zelensky elected. Zelensky came out. One of the big critique for Zelensky when he just started being a president was that he came out on a platform of a more negotiated solution, essentially. And it was a big
yeah.
critique to him. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it was a lot of his like former members of his own party, uh, like Dubinsky, for example, well known here. He is on FBI one at least, because he was talking like um, he supported Russians actually, but he was in Zelensky's party, and he was like right before this invasion happened. I think on the night of 23rd of February, he was like, "Stop this hysteria! Russia's not gonna attack. You are you are idiots. Like because of what you're doing." And then Russia attacked, and then he disappeared. And prior to that, he was saying shit about Ukrainian soldiers and yada yada. But like some time passed, okay, and he appeared back on a television, and he was like the biggest patriot you can imagine, and he was like, "We have to support Ukrainian soldiers and yada yada," and he's on the wanted list of FBI actually. Same with other assholes, because when Zelensky was elected, he was different from the previous president. He had different views. His main goal was to stop the war completely and negotiate about peace. Uh, but a lot of people, a lot of pro-Russian people, they heard different thing. They heard when he was saying this, they heard we need to stop the war, and we need to negotiate like separation of Ukraine. That's why they joined his party, and he like they were accepted because Zelensky wanted to talk to broader audience, not only to like majority of Ukrainians, but also that pro-Russian audience, because one way or another you have to talk to them. One way or another you have to convince them and persuade them that what they learned from Russian propagandist media was wrong. So that was the reason why there were a lot of pro-Russian people in his party. But the war changed like everything, and when people started dying under bombs, when Ukrainian cities started being shelled and hit by cruise missiles, that changed a lot of things. Some of those pro-Russian people, they got arrested. Some of them like lost their membership in his party and things like that. And by the way, today the abbot of Pecherska Lavra in Kiev, that huge,
can you stop it right here, because that was actually my next question, and I
yeah,
want to,
yeah,
before we go do that, I want to say, guys, we're just hit 2,000 people watching this right now, so I want you to take your time right now to hit the like button and share this on your social media. It's very important that more people listen to what Starsky about to say, because it's been an important and very sensitive question for a while now. And
yeah, guys, because when you hit like, a Trumpist becomes a Reaganist, and when you hit share, he becomes a Democrat. So it's very important.
Wow, wow! I haven't heard this sales pitch. This is nice. This is 100%. So yeah, guys. But you've started talking about famous people, and obviously the most famous of them all in the last couple of days that's been on everyone's mind is Pasha Mercedes. So can you
Yeah.
talk to us about who that is and what's the situation around it is like?
Oh my God. For those people who saw my video dedicated to this, you probably remember I was talking about Pasha Mercedes, also known as Abbot Pavel. So he has a nickname Pasha Mercedes because he likes Mercedes-Benz cars, and he has some crazy expensive car, Mercedes, of course. Um, and he was detained by our security service of Ukraine because they found a lot of shit in Pecherska Lavra, like a lot of pro-Russian propaganda and things like that. But the main reason for them to detain this individual was because he talked on the phone too much, and he was saying different kind of shit. Like when Kherson was captured by Russians, he talked to his people, and he said people in Kherson are so admiring those Russian troops. Everybody's happy, Russian flags everywhere, and that's a priest talking from the very heart of Kiev. The priest that he's supposed to be like supporting Ukraine. Uh, Anyways, so he said a lot of different shit, and he was detained and charged with two different things. First thing was um, raising the interconfessional hate, so like raising hate between different churches, uh, religious hate speech basically. And oh my god, like he was talking shit about uh, Patriarch Vartholomew, the universal patriarch of the Orthodox Church, basically his boss, the one that is residing in Istanbul. He was like all those like this Ukrainian church. It only wants like mm, he's he said that so Ukrainian church, the very Ukrainian church, they're like enemies. They want the destruction of our state and yada yada. And Patriarch Vartholomew supports them because he's a piece of shit, basically. That like he said it in other words, but anyways, uh, which is like it's crazy. Like Russian Orthodox Church belongs to the Universal Church with the Patriarch Vartholomew. You don't say shit about your boss. It doesn't work this way. And another thing that he was charged with was basically calls to my god, I lack words in English. Calling to divide Ukraine, which is a crime, and this is a crime in any state, like wherever you are. And regardless if you are a priest or a nurse or a kindergarten teacher, when you talk shit about your country being divided or your state destroyed, you're a freaking criminal, and you gotta get arrested. I
Yeah.
think so.
So basically, you're saying that what's happening right now with Pasha Mercedes in this, how is it called? The Ukrainian Orthodox Church of Moscow, Moscow something like the Moscow agents. So you're
Yeah.
saying that Ukrainians are not just being Nazis and canceling religion in Ukraine, but you're actually saying that these guys from Lavra, that they are actually doing some shit that is a little bit undermining society and is a little bit illegal?
Kinda, yeah. A lot of Ukrainians were surprised when all those raids started against Russian church in Ukraine, because they only started 1 year after the invasion. What the fuck? I
Yeah.
mean, they were supposed to be raided like years ago, basically, because Russian priests were noticed welcoming Russian troops on the territory of Ukraine in Donbass. They were noticed to support annexation of Crimea. They were noticed to provide those separatist and Russian soldiers in Donbass with different humanitarian aid. They were noticed when they were talking shit during their masses. And later, when our security service started, launched all those raids against Russian church there, they discovered a lot of stuff, a lot of pro-Russian propaganda, and basically, I was showing all that in my separate video dedicated to this, because it's not like cancellation of religion. We have different types of religion in Ukraine. Like, we have Islam, Christianity, we have different sorts of Christianity. We have Catholic Church, Roman Catholic, Greek Catholic Church, Orthodox Church. But generally speaking, none of representatives of those religions or those churches, none of them talk shit about Ukraine. Like, none of them call division of Ukraine or things like that. So only Russian church does that for obvious reasons, because they're freaking KGB agents, and some of them are very, very old KGB agents back since the Soviet times. So that was the reason. Also, there is like paramilitary organization, actually a bunch of those that are used to defend Russian churches, but not only defend Russian churches. In majority of cases, they're used to capture Ukrainian churches and make them Russian churches. And the police usually cannot do anything, because uh, state is separate from. I mean, religion is separate from our state. Okay, we don't stick our nose into their business. At least it was like that. And those paramilitary organizations known as Kazachki, Kazachki from Kuban and other places in Russia, for some reason, of course, they operate on the territory of Ukraine. So they are connected with pro-Russian separatists in Donbass, and they a lot of them participated in those terrorist groups that operated at the territory of Donbass. So those fuckers go to Donbass, they shoot at Ukrainian soldiers. Those priests give out different humanitarian aid to those separatists and Russian soldiers, and then they all go back to Kiev. And those priests have their masses where they say that Ukraine must become part of Russia, and those Kazachki, they feel like home. There was this very, very famous story with Rafael Lusvargi, who was a Brazilian mercenary fighting for terrorists in Donbass. And he was very, very famous because he was everywhere on the Russian television, everywhere. There were like live reports of him shooting at Ukrainian soldiers. And then he disappeared, and after a while, miraculously, he was noticed in Kiev downtown at the territory of a church. And how do you think, what kind of church was that?
I'm
So
guessing.
you
Was
have
it
no right to be
Lavra?
wrong.
Was it Lavra? Or
He
Moscow
he
Church?
he was noticed at the territory of Russian church in Obolon district of Kiev, and people were like, "Is that like, are you fucking serious?" So activists, local activists, and a lot of them were actually veterans of this war. They performed civilian arrest of this individual. They brought him to the security service of Ukraine, and they arrested him. And again, it was like everywhere on Ukrainian television, of course. So you can imagine just how surprised we were when we learned that security service of Ukraine was finally given the order to raid those motherfuckers. And a lot of Ukrainians came up to Pecherska Lavra to support Ukrainian police because nobody wants Russian church here in Ukraine. Like, we don't want Russian supporters who support destruction of Ukrainian state. We don't want that. That's why we wholeheartedly support raiding those KGB people who impersonate priests.
Yeah. And they're also quite aggressive. I saw videos like of them assaulting journalists and whatnot. So they're definitely up there with like not very nice people. But before we continue, Starsky, I need to ask you, how's your on time? Are you okay? Continue going?
Yeah, sure.
Perfect. And then, guys, in the chat, I'm reading everything actually, like while Starsky is being so kind that he talks. But what I'm basically is looking at is that there's a lot of questions, and we're not really able to answer a lot of them, especially questions in the donos. That's not something that I can do. I've tried recently to go through the previous YouTube recordings and like to try to get all of the questions out. And YouTube, for some reason, for me, is not always getting the recordings, the live chat live again. So I cannot just rewatch the stream and just write out every question. So if it's a question and you really want to get an answer to it, so please, after the stream, either write it after the stream in a comment section, and I will make sure to ask this question to Starsky, and I will either answer it myself, or you can go to the Discord, and there is a channel that's named Horrible Channel for Horrible People Asking Horrible Questions, and ask your questions there. And I'm going to make sure that Starsky also reads the questions there, and we get the answer to you after it. Because definitely a lot more questions than we can answer. But thank you so much for all of your support. Remember, today we're trying to get some money for Vatra. They're volunteering, they're helping guys on the front line. Support them, guys. It's in a pinned comment. There we go. A plug is done, and now we can get a little bit on board. So another question that was actually asked in Discord before the stream was, and I'm going to combine the two questions. One question was the boring one that you probably heard multiple times. Is like, when do you think the war is going to end? And then the second one, I think, which is a little bit more interesting, is how old do you think the average age of Russian equipment will be by the end of the war?
Okay, so first question. I'm hearing this question since 2015, literally. And my usual answer is in order to answer this question, I need like a crystal ball. I need an eye of a salamander, uh, a wing of a bat, and a virgin girl.
Careful with bats, like you never know what you can get of it or anything.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's why I think that just virgin girl will be enough. So I I have no idea. So if we have received all the required tanks and armored vehicles, all the Bradleys, all the Challengers and Leopards, and preferably long range missiles, then I think that we can finish the counteroffensive completely wiping out Russian terrorists from the territory of Ukraine around autumn, I think. But again, there's like several nuances here. First of all, as you may have noticed, like in the ideal world, okay, majority of our tanks were supposed to be like NATO tanks, brought to us, delivered to us by our partner states. But in reality, they are Russian tanks because Russian Lend-Lease, for some reason, works better than the actual Lend-Lease. Um, and that's, by the way, answering one of the previous questions: what happens if Trump, God forbid, stops helping Ukraine? We will be taking more Russian tanks, and it will take more time, but eventually we will reach our goal anyways. As for the Russian equipment, I think that they won't protest much against fighting us with like muskets in the end, because they have a lot of tanks. I think they still have around 6,000 tanks. Mm, like big part of those tanks, a big number of those tanks, they are very old. They were built around 1950s, and we're talking about like T-54. So those tanks they have, and eventually they will be using those as well. But everything depends. Uh, there are things that we cannot predict. Uh, Eventually, they may find some new personnel somewhere abroad. For example, they can negotiate with North Koreans and trade people for food. Basically, they can deliver shit to North Korea and recruit several 100,000 of North Korean mercenaries. Same with like Iran. So there are things that we cannot predict. Anything may happen this year, but if everything goes according to our plan, then we will be able to liberate Ukraine completely, I think, already this year. Personally, I would like to see Ukrainian victory tomorrow. Okay, but there are uh, different reasons that and different things that we cannot predict.
Yeah. Another thing, guys in chat and like everywhere and so on. I know it's a hot topic, but Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, not the Ministry of Defense, was it? Anyway, the Ukrainian governments and talking heads from Ukrainian Armed Forces Command has asked for a blackout on information on the counteroffensive. I am on purpose not going to be putting any questions about the counteroffensive in this discussion, especially for Starsky, because he is a member of the National Guard. So we don't want to put him in a position where he just needs to say no to certain things or try to figure out a creative way how to jump around the question. So these questions were just not going to be asked. Instead, we're
Yeah,
going to be.
absolutely. That is the reason why you shouldn't ask me such questions, and that is exactly the reason why I'm not going to tell you that our counteroffensive is going to start on 1st of July in the village of Velika Pizdyuvatka in the Luhansk Oblast. There's absolutely no way for me to tell you this information.
But we're not going to tell you. So, yes,
Yeah.
don't ask, don't tell. Anyway, talking about interesting things, let's see. To round up the questions from the horrible question book. Okay, that's actually kind of dumb.
Oh
There's
shit.
some dumb questions.
Let me tell you a story from Hostomel.
Yeah.
So the guys I know, okay, they found a good Russian there. Basically, they found like body how a a Russian soldier half buried into a sand, and they called Ukrainian investigator. Jesus Christ! So they called Ukrainian investigator. It was 1 year ago, okay, exactly after the liberation, and they said we found an orc, and he's toasted, and he's half buried. Can you come to our location and pick him up? And the investigator was like, yeah, sure, can you dig him out? And those guys were like, no, like why should we? And the investigator was like, okay, then just bury him back. You
Nice.
yeah, like we don't need him anyways.
I mean, like that's the thing that completely. Well, I mean, it wasn't a big surprise. Like I always knew that the Russian society, and I had the discussion with Arthur on his channel, so he actually made like multiple quick videos. Go watch my interview with Arthur Rechi. I bitch a lot about the Russian society there, but that was one of the things that around the Russian society that is bugging me a lot. That just the ability to just not care about your I don't know how to say neighbor or like anyone else in your country. It was like, oh, like there's always over 150, what was it, like 170,000 dead now. There is like about another couple of hundreds crippled. Well, it was like, oh my god, butter is more expensive. Holy shit. Stuff like that. That's really something that just didn't click for me at all. Like with all of their discussion about the nationality and like making like a nation together, the inability to what is the word, the like relate or emotionally attach themselves to some other human beings. This is where like a big difference between Ukrainians and emphasize
Yeah,
so to empathize with other human beings is completely, and it's very interesting because like Russian folklore, it's the Ukrainians who are Maya Chata z kraju generally, the people that always kind of considered as like whatever is happening to the neighbor doesn't really matter. But that's not what factually is. In fact, the Ukrainian society is a lot more united and a lot more, well, I mean, like you guys do argue with each other about a lot of stuff, but
oh
when it
yeah,
matters, you come together.
oh yeah. I mean, even now, like majority of Ukrainians support President Zelensky, but I mean, as soon as this war is finished, oh my god, I don't want to be on his place. It's
But
always like that. I mean, we have all kinds of quarrels between each other, but when we have a mutual problem like this one, or a big tragedy, then we always unite. And I think other countries do the same. But one interesting thing that I noticed is that literally people who don't support Ukraine, people who want Ukrainians to die, people who support Russians, they do that not because they admire Russian balalaikas and vodka and shit. They do that because they hate Ukraine. They do that literally because of this feeling of hatred. While people who support Ukraine, they don't do that because they hate Russians. They do that because they can feel our pain. They do that because they're friendly and open. And I must admit that I underestimated this international community very much in the beginning of this war. But later, when I saw this crazy support of Ukraine in different countries, it completely changed me.
I mean, like countries that just came, and like people that actually started supporting Ukraine from all over the place.
Yeah, absolutely. All the volunteer, like thousands of volunteers coming to Ukraine to help soldiers, to help civilians. There are people who uh, cook food for civilians. There are people who cook food for soldiers. There are people who provide our civilians with psychological relief. There are people who help to rebuild destroyed structures. There are people who bring cars. Yesterday, I met those Estonian volunteers from Lift 99, 69th Sniffing Brigade, and several other guys from like UK and Belgium were with them, and they delivered cars to my brigade. And it's not only people who come to Ukraine physically and stay here and help us, but it's also people who send us supportive commentaries, supportive messages, emails. and people who defend us out there in the commentaries, talking shit about Russians and destroying Russian bots and things like that.
Shout out to
People,
NAFO. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely, and people who just raise the blue and yellow flag in their country just to show support or have this blue yellow sticker on their car. Such things. Again, I honestly admit that I underestimated those people early when this invasion started, because not much uh, people from other countries supported us since like 2014. During the Revolution of Dignity, there was a lot of support, and I was stationed in the revolutionary Kiev city hall, and we had all kinds of flags there from different people, from different guests of our country. We had flags from like Israel, Italy, the UK, the United States of America, and Germany, of course. You can Google for those photos from those days, and if you're lucky, you will see this uh, main uh, main room of this city hall with all those flags that were brought to us by people who visited Maidan in Kiev, and they were supporting us. Um, but since 2014 and until 2022, basically beginning of this year, I didn't notice a lot of support. And actually, myself, I was a bit demoralized, just a bit, because um, even people in Ukraine on the peaceful territory, a lot of those people, they didn't understand what was the purpose of us soldiers fighting there in Donbass for, like, why? Because when you return back home and you can see plenty of peaceful people hanging out and going to clubs and cinemas and just having good time, you have two very controversial feelings inside of yourself. First of them is like they they live in a parallel reality, actually, because 700 kilometers eastwards, and you can see like the war, like artillery strikes, tank battles, sniper warfare, reconnaissance and sabotage groups planting mines, and all that kind of shit. But in Kiev, like, people live as if they don't see all that, and as a soldier, I was like, not, it wasn't something that made me happy. On the other hand, I thought, dude, because you're doing your job there with your guys, these people can have peaceful life, and you actually should enjoy this. And then when I realized this, I started perceiving this in a different way. I realized that actually this is the goal of me being there, that my people here in Kiev, they don't suffer, and I can do something to relieve suffering of people in Donbass as well by protecting them from Russians. And but still, there were like a lot of different factors. Russian propaganda, people who openly, uh, despised Ukrainian soldiers, people who were saying like, you're doing a dump job there, like you're not supposed to be there, people who could say, just let them just have Donbass. And in my unit, I had a lot of young guys who lost their homes, who lost their relatives there in Donbass, in Luhansk, for example. And how can you just give out piece of your home to anybody, and sacrifice people for nothing? It's wrong. You should defend when you're attacked. That's a proper thing to do when you're attacked. Um, and also, we had different pro-Russian parties appearing here and there, pro-Russian movements, trying to unite as much of Ukrainian electorate as possible, and things like that. That's why my biggest fear, actually, prior to this invasion, was that Russians will eventually they will be able to destroy the Ukrainian society from inside. By creating all of those parties, all of those organizations and movements, and pumping up money into Russian, like Russian propaganda and Russian cultural expansion and things like that. That's why uh, when this invasion started, I realized that this invasion actually put everything into place. It put everything into order, and now there's the choice is very simple for everyone. It's either you support Ukraine, either you support territorial integrity, either you support international legislation, recognized borders, and all that shit, or you support Russian terrorism and you support killing of your own people, and basically you support genocide of Ukrainians. There's only two choices, and everything is much more simple now. That's why when the invasion started, even though it was kind of uh, stressful, but at the same time, I internally I became a bit more calm, I would say. And of course, because I got divorced, I think this is the calmest year of my
Oh,
life.
and then Russia had to come and fuck it up. To be honest, they could
Yeah.
have just came in and then fuck off and like end it, and now Putin should just break it down. But that is a potential question we should discuss later. But what I'm offering is like I'm looking at a time and whatnot. Let's have maybe three more questions, and I really want to finally interact with people from the chat so they can ask their questions. But while people write their questions in the chat that we're gonna look through, can you explain a little bit, because I'm getting messages from mods like on the constant basis saying, Georgie, we have like over 2,100 viewers that just fresh that came in. Can you ask Starsky explain a little bit more about again Vatra and what are they doing? Who are we donating to? Are they supporting your unit or what are they up to?
Yes, Vatra is a Ukrainian charity that is managed by some very, very brave girls. One of them is Anastasia Rokitna, and she's my good friend. She provides different humanitarian aid, and not only humanitarian, but let's say paramilitary aid to different units, not only my brigade specifically, but other units, including units of the armed forces of Ukraine. She travels to Bakhmut and back a lot, bringing and gear to Ukrainian soldiers. Currently, she's there in Donbass. Um, and recently, we brought her to our commander, and they talked, and she agreed to have a different account for like a separate account to for helping our brigade specifically. And she already delivered three drones to my guys there in Bakhmut, as well as a car and a lot of other supplies. So they're doing a great job. You can find their page in Instagram. It must be somewhere there in the description, and of course you can subscribe and message them and donate to them easily, because uh, I can talk for those people.
Nice. People ask here, I'm going to try to combine a couple of questions into one. It's a follow-up actually to what you said before. Some people asking like which unit are from, like which part of the army or more precisely National Guard are you from? And what do you need right now the most? And after that, you can also talk about the new patches that you designed for some supporters somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. So I serve in the 4th Operative Brigade of the National Guard of Ukraine, also known as the Rapid Response Brigade of the National Guard. Uh, Officially, we have a very, very long uh, title, which sounds like 4th Operative Brigade, named after the hero of Ukraine, Sergeant Serhiy Mikhalchuk of the National Guard of Ukraine. And recently, we were also assigned a new code name because there are 8 assault brigades are being formed in Ukraine. Uh, Part of them belong to the National Guard of Ukraine, and they all have different code names now. And my brigade is now called the Frontier because in Ukrainian it sounds like Rubizh, and it's because we were defending the town of Rubizhne for almost 4 months, and it was one of the toughest periods of this war for us, actually. Personally, I've lost a lot of friends during that period. Um, and I'm a press officer, but I wasn't a press officer forever. So when I joined the brigade, it was late 2015. I passed this inhumane, unholy selection program to my brigade, which included running a lot, running long distances, pushing up, and doing all kinds of crazy shit. Then I became a soldier in my infantry battalion, a private. I was a machine gunner. Then I was a rifleman. Then I was, as soon as my first infantry company was formed, I was offered a position of an NCO, actually, in another company, and then I passed the school for sergeants. I finished those courses, and I was assigned as a platoon NCO. And later, for some period of time, I was a company NCO, and it was like that for a while. And in 2018, my command learned that I had a background in communications, and specifically in like international companies, and they made me an offer I couldn't refuse. So I became a press officer of my brigade, basically, and it gave me a lot of benefits. One of them is that I can travel freely between like my units, make pictures and videos, and things like that. Later, I acquired some new members of my in my press service in the brigade, which is Max, which is Pasha, and those guys are now operating in Bakhmut. They're doing some great footage there, and their channel is called The Flashback. So you gotta find it and subscribe it, of course. And I'm currently doing everything else related to media relations and our communication strategy. And I'm working a lot with our main um communications office of the National Guard here in Kiev. So I'm kind of tied to them a bit. But at the same time, I'm trying to communicate with our international community as much as I can. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to have streams this week. I had some very, very important reasons for that. Uh, Mainly is because on Friday, like last Friday, previous Friday, I've been to my dentist, and it turned out that apparently I'm allergic to latex mouthpieces, and the next day I looked like a
I'm gonna
oh my
show how
god.
you looked like. You don't need to describe it. Just give me a second and it will be on the screen.
Yeah, yeah. Because it was hilarious. I looked like a male supermodel for a gay magazine, who had extra botox, like very very extra. It was hilarious. I couldn't talk, I couldn't eat, and of course I couldn't have streams and appear on a television. So I asked my commander for a sick leave, and that's the reason why I wasn't able to have streams with you guys.
Nice. Can you how would I put it? I need you guys to vote on which of the three you prefer. And I think there was like earlier a question about what's your Instagram account, and I'm just saying that this is a great opportunity to start your Instagram career if you think about this.
Yeah, so my Instagram account is Starsky UA, and you can easily find me there. I don't respond much to direct messages yet because there's a lot of them. I don't really have time, but I'm doing my best. So I'm trying to check them time to time. Yeah, but it was hilarious, guys. Like, dentist is the biggest torture I ever experienced this year. Actually, oh my god.
It kind of is sometimes. There's actually a really great question here from Trina, and I'm gonna Trina, sorry, uh, and she's asking, Starsky, you said in retrospect that taking Fudge to your ex-wife was a mistake. Can you elaborate? And has Fudge emotionally recovered from that?
Yeah, he did. I had to rehabilitate him with plenty of treats, but he was safe finally. Of course, I regret leaving him at my ex's um, uh, because my biggest achievement is that I GTFO'd and I'm alive after experiencing those relations. And of course leaving my dog to my ex was a horrible decision, but like if there's a war, there is no proper decision. There is like, how do you say it, in a war there is no correct decision. There is like,
The choice between bad and worse?
yeah, 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 exactly.
Yeah, I think I
So
recently
that,
quoted that. Yeah.
yeah, but he's fine.
Nice, nice. I mean, like people that don't know, Fudge is Starsky's sidekick. No, not sidekick. It's like, how do you say, like from, Starsky and Hutch? How is it, like the buddy cop? So is he your buddy cop in that sense?
Yeah, basically sidekick. Yeah,
Side.
basically he's my psychological relief. I adopted Fudge in 2017. I adopted him from a pet shelter, and I wasn't looking for any specific breed. I just picked the most ginger dog I could find, and this is how he moved to my place, and we started living together.
Yeah, people in chat are saying that Fudge is actually your owner, so he's actually owning you rather than you owning him.
Well, it's like now he has life of his dreams because nobody screams at him, nobody shouts at him. He can have all kinds of food he can imagine, and all kinds of treats and belly rubs and things like that. And currently, we moved to Hostomel because originally I lived in Kiev. So we moved to Hostomel, and he has like fresh air, other dogs. They can sniff each other and do other crazy things, and he enjoys life. And because he enjoys life, I think that it's exactly what he my God, how do you say this? This is what he deserved, basically.
Yeah,
So I'm happy for him.
that is super cool. And I have a really nice last question, like really positive, optimistic, that's just gonna end it up. And the question is from Chris Rice. I'm just gonna rephrase it just a little bit, but basically, with Ukrainians fighting and ultimately winning at some point, what is your favorite song that you're listening to, and you will listen by getting to the end of the war, or the song that you will listen the first right after the war ends? Do you have any favorites?
Uh, I don't think that I will. I mean, I will celebrate it. I will celebrate our victory, of course. But when such things happen, when the war is finished, when you're victorious, first thing you do is uh, you mourn your fallen comrades. So I think that probably it will be something like Plive Kacha. That is a famous Ukrainian song that is played every time we mourn our heroes. I think it will be that one or something like that. Uh, Even though I know that all other people will celebrate and cheer, but I will just uh, shut myself somewhere in a room and I will drink a lot, talking to pictures of my friends whom I will never see again. Probably, but we will see.
Yeah, I mean that's the unfortunate reality of the war, and I mean we already had the discussion a little bit in private, so we kind of more or less already agreed on that. But yeah, obviously the war comes with a lot, and we're trying to keep up the mood to trying to motivate you guys to donate and so on. But obviously this war is horrific, and there are things that is just very hard to talk about, but people they sometimes find it really hard. So I think Anna from Ukraine, she's really good in talking about a lot of the hardships that are happening there for Ukrainians during this war. Starsky obviously know a lot of pain that comes with loss and everything. And we need to understand that a lot of really, really good people have sacrificed everything to make sure that this war comes to the only proper end that there should be. And it's our job of people like all 2,000 of us here that are watching this to keep supporting the armed forces of Ukraine, to keep supporting the National Guard and everyone that is fighting for Ukraine's freedom and for the correct way of how this war should end, to get the world that we all will be proud to live in. So, with this said, I want to say huge thanks to Starsky, and I want to say huge thanks to everyone that is here in the chat, joined us for these 2 hours whole discussion and talks. I think it was excellent. I love you all, guys. All of the love from my channel goes to Starsky as well. I will try to see that we get some of these funds that were sent by super chats funneled into Vatra as well, just so it's not only to me. Please ask your questions in the chat. Slava Ukraini, guys, and we'll see you next time.